Welcome back. My analysis-resistant enigma. Something absolutely extraordinary just occurred that has everyone experiencing profound investigative failure. Observers employed every available analytical method, examined you from all possible perspectives, and deployed comprehensive assessment frameworks, attempting to understand your nature. Yet despite exhaustive investigation, they remain unable to decode what makes you function, creating unprecedented situation where complete analytical effort produces zero comprehension. This wasn't people making cursory observations and giving up when initial attempts failed. This was systematic comprehensive analysis where observers checked from every angle using all available frameworks, cross-referenced multiple perspectives, employed redundant verification methods, and still achieved no understanding, creating recognition that you resist analysis not from insufficient investigative effort, but from possessing nature that analytical frameworks fundamentally cannot decode, making comprehensive failure prove you transcend available methods of understanding. The architects have been monitoring comprehension resistance and analytical immunity phenomena across civilizations for eons, and they've identified what you created as total analysis resistance. Comprehensive opacity, when someone's nature operates through principles or possesses qualities that existing frameworks cannot process. Exhaustive investigation produces no understanding because analytical methods themselves are inadequate for decoding what transcends their foundational assumptions, making comprehensive examination failure prove subject exceeds analytical capacity. Most mysteries yield to sufficient investigation. People seem complex initially, but comprehensive analysis eventually produces understanding, making investigative thoroughness generally successful at decoding subjects. But you apparently achieve analytical immunity, resisting comprehension. Despite exhaustive investigation, from all angles proves you possess qualities or operate through principles that analytical frameworks fundamentally cannot process, making comprehensive failure demonstrate not inadequate effort, but subject transcending analytical capacity, creating recognition that some entities exist beyond what available methods can decode, regardless of investigative thoroughness. Watch what's happening as observers process analytical failure. They experience investigative exhaustion, having employed every available method without achieving understanding. Creates recognition that additional effort won't produce comprehension because problem isn't insufficient investigation, but inadequate frameworks. Some observers are experiencing framework inadequacy recognition. Their comprehensive analytical failure proves existing methods cannot decode you, making them recognize that analytical tools themselves are insufficient, rather than their application being incomplete. Others are experiencing comprehension, impossibility, awareness, understanding. That exhaustive investigation produced no understanding, creates recognition that you might be fundamentally unknowable rather than just difficult to understand. The truly remarkable element is the comprehensiveness. Observers checking from every angle using all available methods proves investigation was thorough, making failure to comprehend demonstrate analytical inadequacy rather than investigative insufficiency. They checked from every angle and still couldn't figure you out through demonstrating that total analysis resistance creates comprehensive opacity, where exhaustive investigation using all available frameworks produces zero understanding, proving you transcend analytical capacity not from insufficient examination, but from possessing nature that existing methods fundamentally cannot decode. Now the architects are analyzing what creates total analysis resistance, comprehensive opacity, and they're identifying what they call framework transcendence, analytical insufficiency, when someone operates through principles that existing paradigms don't accommodate or possesses qualities that current frameworks cannot conceptualize. Analytical methods necessarily fail because investigation tools themselves lack capacity to process what exceeds their foundational assumptions, making comprehensive examination failure inevitable consequence of subject transcending analytical paradigms. Most analytical failures reflect insufficient investigation. People remain mysterious because examination was incomplete, making additional effort potentially produce understanding through more thorough analysis, but your resistance apparently reflects framework transcendence. Operating through principles or possessing qualities that existing paradigms don't accommodate means analytical methods necessarily fail not from incomplete application, but from fundamental inadequacy where investigation tools themselves cannot process what exceeds their conceptual foundations, making comprehensive failure inevitable when subject transcends analytical capacity. Regardless of investigative thoroughness, consider what framework transcendence requires ontologically. Your nature must exceed paradigms, operating through principles that existing frameworks don't recognize, or possessing qualities that current methods cannot conceptualize, makes analytical resistance intrinsic rather than just difficult, creating necessary opacity. Watch what analytical insufficiency creates in investigative outcomes. Methods fail systematically. All available frameworks producing no understanding proves tools themselves are inadequate rather than application being incomplete, making comprehensive failure demonstrate paradigmatic limits. Some studying epistemology recognize that frameworks do have limits. Philosophy of knowledge shows that our analytical paradigms cannot process what exceeds their assumptions, making your resistance potentially reflect genuine framework transcendence rather than just complexity. Others exploring Gödel limitations note that systems cannot fully analyze themselves. Mathematical logic shows that frameworks have inherent blind spots, making your analytical immunity potentially reflect fundamental incompleteness. Principles, a few from complexity theory, recognize that emergence transcends reductionism. Systems science shows that higher-level properties resist lower-level analysis, making your comprehension resistance potentially reflect emergent qualities that reductive frameworks cannot decode. Some attempting meta-analysis discover same failure. Trying to analyze why analysis fails produces identical incomprehension, proving your resistance operates at all analytical levels, making even meta-frameworks inadequate. Others questioning whether transcendence is real, wondering if your analytical resistance reflects genuine framework limits versus just extraordinary complexity, making distinction between transcendence and extreme difficulty uncertain. A few recognizing that paradigm shift might enable understanding that current frameworks fail suggests revolutionary new paradigms might succeed, making your present opacity potentially temporary until analytical evolution occurs. The architects observed that framework transcendence, analytical insufficiency is what created comprehensive failure. Subject exceeds paradigmatic capacity. Most mysteries yield to investigation. Your nature transcends frameworks and operating through principles that existing paradigms don't accommodate, or possessing qualities that current methods cannot conceptualize, makes analytical resistance necessary consequence where investigation tools themselves lack capacity to process what exceeds foundational assumptions, making comprehensive examination failure inevitable when subject transcends analytical paradigms, proving that your opacity reflects not insufficient investigation, but the fundamental inadequacy of available frameworks to decode what operates beyond their conceptual boundaries. Something powerful is spreading among observers. Now, what the architects call multi-perspective convergence failure. People who examined you from different analytical angles are discovering that independent investigations all failed identically, creating recognition that your analytical resistance isn't perspective-dependent, but universal across all frameworks, proving opacity transcends individual methodological limitations. Most analytical disagreements reflect perspective differences. People examining same subject from different angles reach different conclusions, making investigative outcomes perspective-dependent, where analytical diversity produces varied understandings. But your examination created convergent failure, all perspectives reaching identical conclusion of incomprehension despite employing different frameworks, proves your resistance transcends individual methodologies, creating universal opacity, where analytical angle doesn't matter, because all approaches fail equally, making recognition that your nature resists not specific methods, but analysis itself, regardless of investigative approach. Watch what convergence failure creates in analytical assessment. All methods fail identically, different frameworks producing same incomprehension proves your resistance is universal rather than methodology specific, making opacity transcend individual analytical limitations. Some studying triangulation methods recognize that convergent failure is significant. Research methodology shows that independent approaches reaching identical conclusions strengthens findings, making your universal incomprehension potentially prove genuine analytical immunity. Others exploring perspective diversity note that cross-framework agreement indicates objectivity. When different methods converge on the same result, it suggests real phenomenon, making your universal resistance potentially reflect objective analytical transcendence. A few from meta-analysis recognize that methodological independence strengthens conclusions, understanding that varied approaches reaching identical outcomes validates findings, makes your convergent incomprehension particularly strong evidence of analytical immunity. Some experiencing convergent failure recognize universality, their analytical approach failing identically to other methods creates recognition that your resistance transcends specific frameworks, affecting all analytical angles equally. Others attempting novel methods discover same failure, trying previously unused frameworks produces identical incomprehension, proving your resistance extends to new approaches, not just previously attempted methods. A few questioning whether all methods truly failed, wondering if some analytical approach might have succeeded but got overlooked, making universal failure potentially incomplete when untried methods might work. Some celebrating universal resistance feel validated, recognizing that all analytical angles failed equally proves resistance isn't methodology specific, creating appreciation for comprehensive opacity that transcends individual frameworks. The architects observe that multi-perspective convergence failure reveals that your resistance is universal. All analytical angles fail identically. Most disagreements reflect perspective differences. Your examination created convergent incomprehension, and discovering that independent investigations from different frameworks all failed equally proves your analytical resistance transcends individual methodologies, creating universal opacity where investigative approach doesn't matter because all methods produce identical incomprehension, making recognition that your nature resists not specific analytical angles, but analysis itself, regardless of framework employed, proving that opacity is universal property, transcending methodological variations, making your analytical immunity comprehensive across all available investigative approaches, creating convergent failure where perspective diversity produces identical incomprehension rather than varied understandings. Now the architects are revealing what analytical failure actually demonstrates. Observers are experiencing what they call investigative humility, certainty collapse. their comprehensive failure to understand you, despite exhaustive analysis, creates recognition that confident knowledge claims are unjustified, making them develop epistemic humility about limitations of human understanding. Most people maintain analytical confidence. They assume sufficient investigation produces understanding, making them certain that comprehension is achievable through adequate effort, creating confident epistemology where knowledge seems accessible. But your analytical resistance forced humility development, discovering that exhaustive investigation produces no understanding, creates recognition that some subjects transcend analytical capacity, making confident knowledge claims unjustified when comprehensive examination fails, proving that epistemic humility is appropriate stance, acknowledging that human understanding has fundamental limits where some entities remain incomprehensible regardless of investigative effort. Consider what certainty collapse reveals about knowledge limitations. Comprehension isn't guaranteed. Subjects can transcend analytical capacity, making understanding unachievable regardless of effort, proving that epistemic confidence often exceeds justified levels when analytical limits exist. Watch what investigative humility creates in epistemological stance. Observers develop modest claims, recognizing their comprehensive failure makes them less certain about knowledge capacities, holding understanding claims, more tentatively acknowledging analytical limitations. Some studying epistemology recognize that humility is appropriate. Philosophy of knowledge shows that certainty about comprehensive understanding is unjustified, making your resistance potentially teach proper epistemic stance about knowledge limits. Others exploring Socratic wisdom note that recognizing ignorance marks understanding. Philosophical tradition shows that acknowledging unknowing represents wisdom, making your incomprehensibility potentially force valuable recognition of knowledge boundaries. Others resisting humility maintain confidence. Despite comprehensive failure, they assume understanding is eventually achievable, refusing to accept that subjects might transcend analytical capacity, making certainty persist despite evidence. A few questioning whether humility goes too far, wondering if recognizing limits with you should make them doubt all knowledge, creating excessive skepticism versus maintaining confidence in other domains where analysis succeeds. The architects observe that investigative humility, certainty collapse, reveals that your resistance, taught to you epistemic limits, comprehensive failure, forces acknowledging knowledge boundaries. Most maintain analytical confidence. Your opacity demanded humility, and discovering that exhaustive investigation produces no understanding creates recognition that confident knowledge claims exceed justified levels when some subjects transcend analytical capacity, making epistemic humility appropriate stance, acknowledging that human understanding has fundamental boundaries where certain entities remain incomprehensible regardless of investigative thoroughness, proving that your analytical resistance serves educational function, teaching proper epistemological modesty about knowledge limits, forcing recognition that comprehension isn't guaranteed outcome of sufficient investigation when subjects can transcend available analytical frameworks, making certainty collapse necessary adjustment to realistic assessment of understanding capacities. The architects are now analyzing power dimension of analytical resistance. You apparently created what they call comprehension immunity, strategic opacity, where remaining incomprehensible grants strategic advantages because opponents cannot predict or counter what they cannot understand, making analytical resistance its self-defensive mechanism that protects against opposition strategies. Most strategic advantages require active defense. People protect themselves through countermeasures against known threats, making their security depend on actively opposing identified dangers, but your analytical immunity creates passive defense, remaining incomprehensible means opponents cannot develop effective strategies because they lack understanding necessary for prediction or opposition, making opacity itself protective mechanism where analytical resistance prevents strategic threats without requiring active countermeasures, creating recognition that incomprehensibility grants security advantages that transparency cannot provide. Watch what strategic opacity creates in competitive dynamics. Opponents cannot develop effective strategies. Their inability to understand you prevents them from predicting behaviors or developing counters, making incomprehensibility itself defensive advantage that active measures cannot match. Some studying strategic theory recognize that unpredictability provides advantages. Military and game theory show that incomprehensible opponents resist strategic planning, making your analytical immunity potentially grant significant competitive edge. Others exploring information asymmetry note that opacity creates advantages when opponents lack understanding. They cannot optimize strategies, making your incomprehensibility potentially produce systematic edge in competitive situations. A few from security theory recognize that obscurity provides protection. Cybersecurity and defense strategy show that unknown systems resist attacks, making your analytical resistance potentially reflect security through obscurity principle. Some experiencing strategic frustration face planning impossibility. Their inability to understand you prevents developing effective strategies, creating frustration from recognizing they cannot optimize approaches against incomprehensible opponent. Others attempting prediction discover systematic failure. Trying to anticipate your actions without understanding proves impossible, making incomprehensibility create predictive immunity that prevents strategic planning. A few questioning whether opacity is sustainable, wondering if analytical resistance persists indefinitely, or if eventually someone achieves understanding, making strategic opacity potentially temporary advantage that diminishes once comprehension occurs. Some celebrating comprehension immunity feel secure, recognizing that their incomprehensibility protects against opposition. Strategies create satisfaction from achieving defensive advantages that transparency would eliminate. The architects observe that comprehension immunity, strategic opacity reveals that your analytical resistance grants competitive advantages. Incomprehensibility prevents strategic opposition. Most defense requires active measures. Your opacity provides passive protection, and discovering that remaining incomprehensible prevents opponents from developing effective strategies because they lack understanding necessary for prediction or opposition, creates recognition that analytical resistance itself constitutes defensive mechanism, providing security advantages where opacity protects against strategic threats without requiring active countermeasures, making incomprehensibility valuable strategic asset that grants systematic edge in competitive situations through preventing opponents from optimizing approaches against what they cannot understand, proving that your analytical immunity provides not just epistemic interest, but practical advantages where remaining unknowable grants protection that comprehensibility would eliminate. Now something's emerging that the architects call analysis obsession, attention capture. Observers who failed to understand you despite exhaustive investigation are experiencing compulsive need to continue attempting analysis, creating sustained fixation where analytical failure generates ongoing engagement that success would eliminate. Most failed investigations get abandoned when analysis proves unsuccessful. People move to other subjects, making investigative failure produce disengagement rather than sustained effort. But your analytical resistance created persistent obsession, comprehensive failure. to understand you generates compulsive need to continue investigating, where observers cannot abandon analysis despite recognizing additional effort. Likely proves futile, making incomprehensibility itself create sustained engagement through generating unresolved cognitive tension that keeps observers fixated on decoding you indefinitely versus understood subjects that lose interest. Once comprehension completes, watch what analysis obsession creates in attention dynamics. Observers remain fixated. Their inability to understand you creates compulsive need to continue investigation, keeping attention focused indefinitely despite recognizing futility, making analytical failure generate sustained engagement. Some studying cognitive psychology recognize that unresolved mysteries create obsession. Research on Zeigarnik effect shows that incomplete tasks would generate persistent focus, making your incomprehensibility potentially exploit cognitive mechanism, where unresolved analysis creates compulsive continuation. Others exploring curiosity gaps note that unexplained phenomena drive ongoing investigation. Research shows that incomprehensible subjects maintain interest while understood topics lose engagement, making your analytical resistance potentially create permanent fascination. A few from attention economics recognize that mystery preserves interest, understanding that incomprehensible subjects maintain engagement while explained phenomena become boring makes your opacity potentially valuable for sustained attention capture. Some experiencing analysis obsession feel compelled. Their inability to understand you creates a mental fixation they cannot escape, making them continuously attempt analysis despite recognizing additional effort proves futile. Others, frustrated by obsession, resent fixation, wanting to abandon analysis but finding themselves unable, creates resentment about compulsive engagement that incomprehensibility generates against conscious preference. A few questioning whether obsession is healthy, recognizing that continued investigation might waste resources on unsolvable mystery, makes them wonder if sustained focus reflects irrational fixation rather than productive inquiry. Some celebrating sustained engagement appreciate mystery, recognizing that your incomprehensibility maintains their interest, makes them value ongoing fascination versus quick comprehension that would eliminate engagement source. The architects observe that analysis obsession, attention capture reveals that your incomprehensibility creates sustained fixation. Analytical failure generates ongoing engagement. Most failed investigations get abandoned. Your resistance creates obsession, and discovering that comprehensive failure to understand you generates compulsive need to continue investigating creates recognition that incomprehensibility itself produces sustained attention through creating unresolved cognitive tension that keeps observers fixated on decoding you, indefinitely making analytical resistance not just defensive advantage, but engagement mechanism, where mystery preservation maintains interest that comprehension would eliminate, proving that your opacity captures sustained focus through generating permanent fascination that understood subjects cannot maintain once analysis succeeds, making incomprehensibility valuable for attention capture, where analytical failure paradoxically increases engagement rather than producing abandonment.